And his opponent in the Southeast, who tried to accelerate our schedule yesterday, and it seems he's doing it today, he is MarineLord.
He's definitely feeling the proxies at the moment, isn't he? Now, obviously, a 2 racks, a 3 racks against a Zerg, that's something we see pretty often against Protoss. I feel like it always comes and goes, right? There's always like a week where everybody proxies and they're like, no, they're terrible. And then it's like, no, we are going to proxy again because we can deal so much economic damage. I'm never quite sure how I feel about it.
Yeah, it seems like one of those intangibles almost, in that it's hard to kind of describe what makes a build fall in or out of the meta other than just practice against it. But you'd think, oh, well, you know, wasn't this really popular like a year or two ago? Like people did it every single game. And while yes, it was at one point that build, we're in a different meta now where people are doing different strategies for a really long time. Protoss builds are different. He comes in, he sees
Ghost
there's
Rush
nothing here.
Oh my god,
okay.
Ghost
well, okay. I mean, I was just gonna do my boring generic thing about builds we don't play against often, but that's beside the point now, because it ain't a Reaper that's coming. He floated it into the game too.
Yes. No, this is
feeling
sick.
cheeky.
This is actually so sick. The Ghost Academy is being proxied as well. This is a build that I played against a couple times, and when I open Twilight, I just feel like it's game over already. There's absolutely nothing I can do. I was really wondering, I was like, he's taking both gases. Is he going to proxy the factory as well? Is he going to do all of it? It seems like the answer is no. What I wonder about though is, are we going to get enhanced cloaking? It seems like he's not going for cloak, but if you EMP probes, they get one-shotted by this Ghost, and it's very easy to pick up 5 or 6 workers. The Adept though, the Adept's gonna see it. Oh my goodness.
This is very, very weird, because if the Adept is out of range as well, like if the Adept isn't close enough to get the auto attack to cancel the snipe, yeah, he just kills it instantly. That's exactly what I was worried about. Now he doesn't have the energy for the EMP anymore, but he's still gonna 2-shot the probes, and there isn't a shield battery here. He did not immediately start another Ghost, and I guess didn't have the money available, but if and when that Ghost does finish, Kevin, if there's not energy for an overcharge, he can also EMP the shield battery if it comes to it. But this is a tremendous amount of pro damage at the start of the game just out of a single Ghost.
Yep, that shield battery was a little bit late. That battery would have actually saved all the workers, right? Since the energy was being used on Snipe, but what a start. Obviously, this is a massive commitment by MarineLord. I mean, proxying a Ghost Academy, building a barracks in your opponent's main base. The second Ghost is out, is probably going to EMP that battery. That is indeed exactly what happens. But Overcharge doesn't care about being even EMP. That's actually kind of
infinite ammo. Infinite ammo, baby. That was the most important thing, is he had the energy from the natural Nexus still, I believe, to get the overcharge there, as the shield battery doesn't need energy when that happens. And it does have a Stargated home, which I find quite curious. This is such a weird game. Cyclone is building back on the other side from MarineLord while he starts a starport, but I don't really know what to make of this, Kevin. And he's also got a pretty exposed Ghost Academy, so I'm not sure that he's going to be leaning on that anytime soon.
Yeah, I kind of like the Phoenixes coming out of here from Mana, because if you don't get Phoenixes, then I think the Cyclones are an absolute nightmare to deal with. There was Macfield Accelerator, but I think after MarineLord saw that Phoenix in production, he's like, you know what? That doesn't really seem like that's the greatest idea. So let's just go for the safety Cyclone. I think at this point, this game slows down a lot. And if I'm Mana, I just Chrono Boost probes for a little while. What I am worried about, though, Nate, is the first push that MarineLord makes. Like, I know he's expanding, but I still think he has a push inside of him that includes maybe no stim even, but just a whole bunch of Marines, Cyclone, Tank, Viking, and that's hard to deal with if you open up with a Stargate and take economic damage.
Yeah, just the ability to try to snowball the economy into that fast third that a lot of Protoss players like to take is also completely gone in this situation, as the worker count is even. And we all know that's always going to be a good position for the Terran player, because you're going to have those mules to throw in. And since he does have that Cyclone, and even went for a Viking, just in case something tried to poke in or be a little bit more or too aggressive, and even building a second Viking. Okay, no, he's going to cancel and move that because he wants the tech lab for the barracks, but he does have a lot of zoning capabilities against the Phoenix, so it won't be as easy as, oh, just run in, try to snipe the Cyclone, move out. No, he's got a pretty good kit together with this army.
I don't think Mana should be overstaying his welcome here. I understand trying to be annoying. He really wants to get the Cyclone, does get the Cyclone. And now the Viking is in a bit of danger as well, but that's a lot of SCVs repairing this bad boy. I think you gotta give up on this one, Mana. No, he really wants to get it, and he can actually kill the Viking while it's being mass repaired. To tell you the truth, Nate, I did not know that was possible. This tank, though, I don't think it's gonna go down.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky because even though the Viking is an armored unit, it doesn't actually have armor. So those two Phoenix attacks are able to put down a lot of damage. And, well, frankly speaking, he just didn't have enough SCVs to out DPS 3 Phoenix on the Viking. He does have the tanks, which will be nice if it was a big blink follow-up, but that's not really the case this game, is it, Kevin? He's going straight into a robotics bay. No, not even a Twilight in sight yet.
I gotta say, I'm really impressed that Mana was able to find this much damage with the Phoenix opening while taking a lot of economic damage in the beginning of this game. Because it felt that MarineLord was like, okay, you're gonna go Phoenix, and this is my response. I don't think MarineLord ever expected Mana to be as crazy as he was and dive on top of a Cyclone and on top of a Viking and then find the next Viking as well. Pretty well done by Mana.
Yeah, I think he certainly made the most of that situation. Right now, 46 to 39 workers, looking a little bit more normal for PVT. Probably still wants to be a few more workers ahead, but at this rate, if the Phoenix control for the follow-up is anything at all like the start, he could easily grab another couple of SCVs here. There's nothing in position to stop this, so one worker gets picked off, delaying a gas, and we have the Colossi coming out with immediately starting extended thermal lance too. So how do you feel that this stacks up if MarineLord still decides with like Stim and Combat Shield to try to push out with his bio and all these tanks?
I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling an all-in from MarineLord. Even though he does have a lot of SCVs, he's going up to 45, but I feel like it's all going to come down to the first proper push. I'm going to say I kind of like Mana's setup at this point with that shield battery that he's got going as well that he can fall back to. If he can stall this army a little bit from like marching to the other side of the map and just get a couple swipes off with the Colossus, I think Mana's actually in decent shape. And I did not predict that the Gulls did as much damage as it actually did in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, it's scary to think what would have happened if the gateway unit wasn't there at the exact time that it was, and he was able to EMP those probes instead of going for the snipe. But the Phoenix make one more little prod, and as you said, Kevin, we have a big attack coming out. I am surprised that there's not a plethora of SCVs joining the army over here, as he doesn't really have. There's not really much of a follow-up here unless he's going to go try to build the third CC while he does this move out. But this army's kind of positioning itself around that choke point. If he gets force fielded, the Colossi could do a lot of damage.
Yep, Mana does know he could drop a force field, and that is exactly what he does. This is what I would have loved to see. Even just a couple of Marines, Nate, and forcing all these tanks to siege up. This is really good, because every second that goes by is a good one for Mana, because he's obviously way richer. How's the production looking? He only has 3 gateways, though. So this is going to try his luck one more time. The Colossi are getting some really good hits up here. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah. Where's the Medivacs here? This bio is getting cooked over outside this third base. And that's the other thing as well, is he's kind of being forced to push towards that third position, right? There's a little bit of a choke there. The Medivacs are coming, but the Phoenix managed to get a bit of a backstab. Doesn't kill them, but they're now very exposed and vulnerable for whenever that time does come. And 5 siege tanks now outside that third.
The Phoenixes are going to confirm that MarineLord is trying to go up to 3 bases, but they're going to obviously have a very easy time in delaying that from happening. Can just fly around, take off a couple of SCVs. I think Mana is really handling this with a lot of beauty and grace so far. MarineLord is obviously, he's like, I just want to fight, but I know that I can't run into an overcharged battery, and I need to get my tanks a little bit closer. This is kind of it, though. Mana's going to go for it, uses overcharge. Look at that Immortal, Nate. It's still going strong, and this is not a good fight for MarineLord.
Big Daddy says back it up to this push. Now, a lot of the sort of like the meat shield underneath those Colossi is gone. So he's being a little bit tentative there about whether he wanted to engage or not. But loads up the bio to run, and the Medivacs are going to get grabbed by the Phoenix on the way out. An absolutely merciless slaughter of MarineLord's forces by Mana. And he is, he's looking dominant here. Look at the Ring of Vision he has on the west side, too. A string of pylons out there, taking the 4th base. Like, there's very little that MarineLord can do to kind of get the jump on him, especially considering that with the Phoenix, Mana's been able to scout everything that MarineLord has done this whole game. He knew how late that third was. He delayed it himself even further, and he knows that, well, all he has to do is just kind of power up, get his upgrades together, and he's going to be able to hit a big timing with pretty much whatever he wants, I feel.
Okay, this is gonna get wild because MarineLord's bio for some reason went towards the left side of the map. That means that if Mana pounces on this base, there is absolutely nothing to stop this Protoss army. Mana defended that while only having 3 gateways, and he actually started spawning quite a bit of money during all of that. So by the time that he spends all of that money, he's going to be in an even better position. MarineLord has picked up his bio, Nate. He's gonna go for the main base, but there's no way that MarineLord can ever defend this command center. So whatever damage MarineLord might do, he's already taking it at home.
Yeah, and that's what's the hard part about this. He kills 17 SCVs. Now, 11 probes have died, but he's going to pop that recall to bring the army back. These Stalkers in kind of an awkward position, though, because I feel like part of the goal is to stop him, but I guess whatever. It doesn't matter. He's going to take this map, Mana, with a decisive game number 1 victory. And that's, you know, it hurts a little because I wanted to see this game be close because it was like he did a lot of damage with the Ghost, and then he took a lot of damage from those Phoenix. We were a little bit surprised, but then it just ended up being pretty one-sided in Mana's favor, and he's looking good, Kev. He's looking good.
Yeah, I think 2 key points for Mana in that game. First of all, how the hell did he get much damage done with his Phoenixes against the anti-Phoenix opening? Honestly, pretty impressive. Just did a really good job in realizing when to go for it, when not to go for it, and didn't throw away his Stalkers either. But then I think the most important thing is when he realized what was happening, when he saw all those tanks move to the other side of the map, Mana moved out with an army that was actually small and wouldn't be able to win the fight. But what the army could do is at least stall the push, drop the force field, shave off some bio, shave off a little more bio, force up another siege very far away. And when they finally fought, I was actually a bit worried for Mana because I was like, man, he's sitting on 3 gates. He's going to float money. This is not going to go well. But he had that super forward battery that was out of energy. But like we saw in the beginning of the game, overcharged batteries don't really care whether they have energy or not. And then there is one Immortal standing in the front line, soaking up 4 tanks shooting at it. Yeah, that's just an absolutely amazing fight from Mana. Very well done.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything went according, it feels like, to plan. As soon as he was able to get the Ghost out of his base. And we're loading into game number 2, Pillars of Gold. Lots of different places to try to flank or jump on top of armies on this map. And some space for the cheese builds here as well. We'll see what happens as we are ready to kick off the second game of this best of 5 in the Northeast position. Spawning as the blue Protoss player representing Team Liquid, he is Mana.
And in the bottom left side of Pillars of Gold, we're looking at the main base of the French Terran player, currently sponsored by Le Coca, but definitely looking for a team as well. If it's possible, it is MarineLord.
Still possible for MarineLord to save me and get that 2-1 lead.
I was thinking about that. I was like, do I want to lead with that or not?
Oh, well, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I can always just say that I thought Mana was going to win the match, though, the overall best of 5, Kevin, right? And you leave a little bit of plausible deniability there, and anything is possible. But how do you feel about Pillars of Gold for PvT? This is probably, I'd say, like my least favorite map to play on.
I think it's a very good map for Protoss. I like, in general, when I think of PvT, what I like is big, wide open maps with a lot of ways to send zealots around. Now, obviously, you know, there are some people who look at this be like, oh, this map is really good for Terran to drop and stuff. And it's like, well, yes and no. Like, to get proper scary drops going, Terrans obviously need to get in a good position as well. They need to have a strong economy because you can't just be throwing away medevacs left, right, and center if you're already behind. I just think this is a perfect map to open up with Blink Stalkers, control the pace of the game a little bit, go up to 3 bases, and take the game from there. So in that way, I really like it for Protoss.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's kind of the stuff that I worry about. That third base, I think, on this map for both Protoss and Terran, right? It's pretty open. No matter which one you take, you have a little bit of that high ground that they can siege. If you take the back third, and then if you take the forward third, you have like a 180-degree angle to be pushed from whether it's charge lots or siege tanks, just kind of rolling up on the northwest side of that. So we'll see which way they want to bring it. MarineLord did decide that he didn't want to go for the 2 proxies in a row to start the show like he did yesterday. I guess because he wasn't able to get the win there. Man, that was just so insane to watch. I woke up early. I was like, oh yeah, DreamHack's on. Like, okay, check this out. And the first thing I see is 2 2-Rexes in a row. I'm like, well, I thought this TVZ series was going to be pretty good, Kevin. I guess not.
No, it really wasn't. And even game 3, it wasn't really much of a match. I do want to point out, though, that even though we just went over a couple of things I like for Protoss on this map, there are these scenarios where Terran players do make those big, strong 2-base pushes, and they get the tank basically where the Adept is running right now.
Yeah.
And then the bio can go towards the low ground, and even if Protoss has a couple shield barriers there, it's really annoying to take a fight that's like half on the low ground, but then half up a ramp as well, and every now and then you might lose high ground vision if you do have mostly Zealots and Stalkers. So even though I like it for Protoss, I think there are a couple of things working for Terran as well on this map.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely agree with you. I think the third base situation is awkward, but on either of those thirds, we've also seen Terran siege up under the rocks as well, and then use like medevacs for high ground vision, lift up units, elevator, kind of apply pressure that way. And that high ground area that you were talking about that the Adept was on, almost every like big attack that anybody does on this map is staged out of these spaces because you can go down both ramps. You can cut off the natural if you get tanks over there. There's plenty of opportunity for both sides. So you know me and not wanting to get harassed at my expansions though. You know, I need those choke points. I need that ice and chrome.
You just need pocket expense. You know, just get
exactly. Yeah,
pocket expense.
Whatever happened to Orbital Shipyard, Kevin?
And
whatever happened to what was that? What was that awful one? Goodness, massive one. I can't remember. People were like floating their barracks inside other people's bases on it. I gotta try to remember the old maps. It's been a long time. It's been a lot of years of StarCraft.
Yeah, you know, I'm always good in remembering games, but I'm pretty bad in remembering map names for some reason.
Yeah.
As soon as a map leaves, I'm just kind of like done with it. Wow, that's a sweet way to take care of the Reaper. Very well done. I do believe that the Reaper has confirmed that there is a Twilight Council, so Mana is indeed doing the build that I like on this map, and I think that makes a lot of sense. He's got a Robo already as well, Nate, so he's not doing something very stubborn and greedy, like trying to do this of, you know, pure Gateway Double Forge. And the Robo is much needed because there is a Cloaked Banshee heading towards this way on the left side.
Yeah, I like these builds a lot, especially after seeing like the way that some of the guys like TY were using them when these builds started to become more popular. Especially if you get up to that 2 Banshees, just the ability to kind of force the Protoss to leave their Stalkers at home or to have those warp-ins or supply available, you kind of make the Protoss a little bit scared to bring everything to the front when there's Banshees in their base, because if the Terran defends and you lose all your probes, you know, the game is over. You don't have mules or anything like that. So it kind of forces you into an all-in position if you get caught off guard by it. Or, you know, probably the better scenario is that you just kind of sit back a little bit more. You don't attack as much, and that makes it easier for Terran to get those expansions together too.
The Observer of Mana is in the main base, and even I don't know what he's doing.
He's like, I don't really know where I want to set this up.
It's like a dog, right? Like trying to find the perfect spot on his little blanket. He's like, no.
Oh yeah,
no.
oh yeah. Like, that's Lou. Every day, he's just he sits down with his bone, and then he gets up, and then he spins 3 times, and then he lies down, then he gets up again. He's like, nah, this isn't it.
Yeah. Well, that definitely wasn't it either, as the Observer did fly into the missile turret in the natural. But more importantly, the Banshees are showing up. But Mana is showing MarineLord as well that he is aware of these Banshees. The Banshees are pretty fast, though. That Observer's having a hard no to the other side. Oh. Well,
he doesn't know.
Well, that's actually perhaps a better move. Well done by MarineLord. I thought that he should have gone towards the right, but he's going to play it safe, go back towards the third. Get 5 probes, but more importantly, keeps both Banshees alive.
Yeah, that was actually really impressive. I honestly thought he was going to be able to get like 3 of the Stalkers across that gap, and then he might lose 1 of the Banshees, but if he maintains all of these, that's huge. And that Prism still has the potential to cause some chaos, though. You know, we don't exactly have the Field of Dreams as far as missile turrets go. And the Banshees get caught, too, heading back. Wow. Also very unfortunate, but there's a pretty big vulnerability here if MarineLord moves his army out when this Prism arrives.
Yep, but I actually think the fact that the Banshee did spot the Prism there gives MarineLord the information that he needs. I mean, charge is already done, guys. So if 4 or 5 Zealots get into the main base and there is nothing there, then just Zealots alone is already very difficult to deal with. These Marines don't have stim yet. I mean, Mana doesn't have to get adventurous, but if I look at the work account, Nate, I'm like, I feel like he is gearing up to get something going, because otherwise he would have way more probes. So Mana is going to go for it. He's going to get probably a Warp Prism in the main base and then just try to overrun this third base. And if there's no stim, I kind of think that Mana can get some proper damage done here.
Yeah, I like it a lot. MarineLord's throwing down a couple of random quote-unquote supply depots to try and provide a bit of a buffer, mess with the AI, the pathing of the charge lots, I assume. But Mana's starting that Nexus in the pylon. He looked supply blocked a little bit of damage, which is, I guess, the only thing that stood out.
Get Stim. Look at Stim. Stim is not done yet. There's a lot of Zealots in the main base right now. There's 10 seconds left on Stim pack. These Zealots could really click on it. But in the end, he's just going to let it go. And I think Mana is hoping that MarineLord sends even more units into the main base. And that will open the door for him to pounce on that third base. Now Stim is done, though. I feel Mana could have gotten a lot more than what he actually managed to get out of this.
Yeah, possibly. I'm not sure if you guys can still hear me.
I can sort of hear you. You were
just give me.
Okay. All right, I'll take it from here, Nate. Let me know when you are back. So lovely, ladies and gentlemen at home. I actually feel that Mana put himself in a bit of a troublesome position because he didn't have any forges yet. And if you're playing this style and you're going up to 4 bases a bit quicker, but you're ahead in upgrades, then it's all good. At this point, Mana's actually behind in upgrades. Now, a good way to obviously make up for being behind in upgrades is having Storm. Storm does not give a damn about upgrades, and that's why Mana is going to Chrono Boost this out immediately. I do feel like there are internet issues. I don't know if it's me. Is it? I don't know. Producer, can you let me know to make sure that this is not me? Okay. Apparently I am okay because I saw a little bit of lag in the game as well, guys. And now I was having a heart attack. I'm like, what if it's me? But
yeah, I'm trying to close this. It's completely locked up on me. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I noticed as well. Everybody's apparently right now experiencing that. Anyway, the state of the game right now, guys, is we're going to try to solve this and try to fix this for you guys.
I can kill it.
I think it should be good. Is that I actually think MarineLord is in a really good position right now. He's down 3 workers, but he's basically up 2 upgrades, and he's got a strong 3-base setup going. He's going up to 4 bases. I feel Mana waited too long. If he wanted to make an attack without any forges, just send it. Don't hesitate. Anyway, the game is live. Let's go ahead and hop back into the game. Nathanius, you can still watch the action, correct?
Yeah, I should be able to connect to it. I might need to restart my my feed of it, but I'll be right back.
Alrighty, I'll just take it from here. These stalkers are actually in a bit of a troublesome position as well. I mean, Mana's obviously trying to buy time to storm that war prism. You need that prism, in my opinion. Okay, all of these units are super stocked. I think he should probably blink towards the bottom. No, he's gonna blink on the tanks like an absolute mad lad, but there are like more tanks on the low ground. All of these stalkers are super.
Okay, I'm back, and that was painful. Oh, that was painful. That's a lot gone right there. It's Would you say that blink is patience tier, or
no? That
was
I don't have
not quite.
Yeah, I don't have the right words to describe that blink. He should have probably blinked towards the bottom and just tried to recall whatever he could.
Well, this is it was like 40 army supply difference now that he has over here. And there's the scan.
Stormer.
3 immortals enough to stop this. Oh, he's got the storm inside him. Okay, so the tanks, 2 of them are immediately taken down. He's able to get a couple of storms off, but it really is just the immortals that are anchoring this, though. Just stalkers alone are going to struggle against the marauders. He is able to push it back. And I have to say, that's actually pretty impressive, Kevin, considering that his 1-1 is still only just finishing after that fight, while he deals with this drop in the northwest, too. I was going to say, the upgrade disadvantage by 2 whole upgrades at that point is usually pretty brutal for TVP.
It should have been brutal, but those were obviously the biggest storms I think you can really hope for. I gotta say, MarineLord, probably a little caught off guard there. Did not expect Mana to ever engage into him. Like, if you just kill like 12, 14 stalkers in the bottom right side, you expect your opponent to turtle and maybe try to fall back to the shield battery. MarineLord wasn't ready for that. We could see that their Banshee was shooting at a Twilight Council for the entirety of that fight. And the drop in the top left side also didn't get too much done. So just when I said MarineLord had a lead, he kind of threw away the lead, and now we have a game again.
All right. Well, he's going for the upgrades that he's going to need to take this game on a little bit later, as we have the enhanced shockwave upgrade for the Ghost. That's going to give the EMP that extra radius to get those beautiful splash of removal of shields all over the Protoss army. And it's also getting the +1 vehicle weapons, which I always find interesting. I feel like the upgrades for the Liberators are usually more cost effective, since you can start to 2-shot units in that mid-late game stage, but I suppose wants to continue to rely on those siege tanks in a big way.
I'd love to see MarineLord sooner than later get that second starport and throw down the fusion core for some good old advanced ballistics action. I feel like I've seen too many games lately where I don't see the amount of Liberators I'd love to see. Like, Mana obviously has a strong economy, but this is not the kind of game where Mana can casually throw down Stargates and really get ready to counter those Liberators. So I'd love to see MarineLord start heading into that composition.
He's going to break the rocks as he comes up towards that 3rd base. Preempted storm on top of where that sensor tower is being built would also be a really nice pickup to be able to grab that. The EMP does hit the immortals and the sentries. Drops another storm. Need to make sure you still have some of those EMPs available. He hits a lot of those units as they were warping in, so not a tremendous amount of shields for the Protoss army, but forces a liftoff on the command center, and not seeing any damage being taken back on the other side of the map during this. So nice poke by Mana.
Yep, Man had a couple of Zealots crashing into the natural as well, but MarineLord left enough bio behind to actually deal with that. MarineLord was floating a ridiculous amount of money there. That's not something I normally see. I feel that MarineLord, his macro is always very good. He was sitting over 2,200 minerals while that fight was going on. I gotta say, I love the way he's spending it right now. Immediately fires up the 3-3 upgrades, gets +2 on his tanks as well. So it's a hold. It was a bit of a painful hold as these storms have been big. But at least MarineLord does weather the storm and he should be able to max out now. But Nate, why am I not getting my second starport?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about. And I guess it's just a really big commitment to the setup with the tanks. He doesn't want to get the extra starport. I didn't see fusion core or anything as far as liberators really go. Just a big focus on zoning with the tanks and using lots of EMPs. I guess if you would just wanted to use tanks against Colossi, if you came to it, but that makes it so much harder to extend forward past that army as the Colossus does come out, because the storm starts to push you back. Okay, well, I guess the tanks do get the Colossus, so doing the job that we're kind of speculating over. And I'm not sure if that was the last storm that he had over there. Meanwhile, some Zealots are going to get cleaned up again by the third. 8 SCVs killed. But I mean, if this army just turns into Bio versus Gateway Storm and he has that many EMPs available, it still looks really good for MarineLord.
Yeah, I think
go.
This all just went amazing, right? Like all of his tanks are still alive. He was able to land a couple of big EMPs there. There are no storms available anymore. We have 4 High Templars actually inside of the Warp Prism. I don't think they're sitting on that many storms. He's going to warp in a few more. But Mana sacrificed like 12 Zealots on the other side of the map. But MarineLord knew in advance that that was going to happen. So those Zealots accomplished nothing. Now all of a sudden these tanks are knocking on the most important base of Mana. There is a drop heading towards the main as well. Nate, I don't know how you salvage this if you're Mana.
Yeah, the chaos is just starting to spill over. Maxed out Terran player, tons of bio. The only thing you can think to be of a saving grace is the Colossi, because there's not really any Vikings, but with this many siege tanks, it doesn't matter. His target fire on the Colossus from the last fight was perfect. And as you said, you need to reinforce to defend this front base, but at the same time, 15 probes died. He's losing a lot in his main, but a counterattack with some Archons and Zealots over towards the third, and he's taking all the northwest bases as well. He has the top left corner. He's taking the one below that, so he's kind of just saying, all right, maybe I bleed him out, buy some time, take some of these other bases. And well, those storms are starting to look better and better. The Disruptor, also a very scary threat to deal with, but his main base, like, that's what your gateways are, your production, your tech. If he gets this Nexus, that'd be massive.
Yep, he really needs to repower the gates and he's lost power to him. Reno's like, you know what, if one medevac is this successful, I'm going to send a few more bio units. And even though Stalkers, Nate, are going to have a hard time dealing with this bio because the tanks are still on the low ground. I really love the way that MarineLord is executing all of this while still being safe at home against Zealot run-bys. I know he lost a couple SCVs here and there, but I think overall he's doing a fantastic job. Mana realizes he needs to do something about it, but Nate, that is way too many siege tanks to walk into.
Yeah, that's a lot to have to deal with. So MarineLord is able to take the second game, tying this series up 2-1, and pretty well done there. We are going to jump to a break, ladies and gentlemen, before we head into game number 3. We will be right back. You're watching the DreamHack Masters StarCraft 2 Fall Europe Edition. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are currently in the midst of a nice Terran vs. Protoss series to start your day here. I know you wake up, you think to yourself, what is going to be the best way to spend my Thursday? Is it watching football tonight? Yes, but it's also watching StarCraft all morning, day, and probably night too, based on how some along these matches end up going. But nice, evenly matched so far. Some good play by Mana, some good play by MarineLord. Kevin, it's been a hell of a start to the day.
Yeah, we can definitely talk a little more about that game too, because obviously we were all experiencing some technical difficulties and it maybe distracted the flow of the cast a bit. And we'll talk more about it after we introduce these lovely nerds. In the top right side, we'll look at the main base of the French Terran player. Opened up with those cloak banshees and got some success with it. It is MarineLord.
That's right, and his opponent in the Southwest, the blue Protoss player from Team Liquid, he is Mana.
So I think the most crucial phase of that previous game was obviously when Mana stopped building probes. He was at like 58 probes, and it felt that he was gearing up for a big attack, but then he wasn't, Nate.
Yeah.
Like he was a bit indecisive, but I also feel in his defense, maybe he just really expected one of these Marine tank pushes coming out of MarineLord. Even though I feel, actually, no, he saw the third command center quite early, right? With the Observer in the main.
It's weird. It's weird, right? Like the Banshee saw the Prism, and I guess what he wanted to do was maybe like push the Stalkers to delay the third while he warp prismed in the main with all the Zealots, right? Like unload the 4 Zealots, maybe warp in like 6 more charge lots, like start to cause real crazy chaos. But then when the Banshees saw it, even though the Stalkers killed one of the Banshees, like I kind of get the feeling he's like, okay, yeah, I'm safe, but this game, he's going to have to do a lot more looking than just at this base because, I mean, think about it. Kevin, if you're playing Protoss, from the perspective of a Protoss player, when you come up and see this, like, you have to assume that they're doing something weird, right?
Yes, obviously, because otherwise there would be a Reaper already, like shooting at my probes or something, and you know, you'd normally expect to see some activity here on the low ground. So I am expecting something weird. If you're asking me, am I expecting proxy 2 racks while having a barracks at home and just a marine rush? No, Nate, that's like the last thing in the world that I'm expecting. This probe is getting really close. If Mana scouts this is actually not that difficult to defend. Well, he might take the Zelnaga watchtower, no? Like he should...
he should definitely... He's got to check the tower, right? That's the most sensible thing you could do.
I mean, what Mana needs against this is just, in my opinion, just a couple Stalkers, right? Like, obviously, you're making a depth first because you don't really know what you're dealing with. Okay, the probe spots it now.
There we go.
Battery and Stalkers, and I think then you're totally fine.
Yeah. Well, does he even need to try to defend the natural here, or just leave it there as like a meat shield to soak hits? I feel like putting the batteries on the low ground is like the only risky type thing, right?
Yep.
Maybe.
Like, I think this is what you normally do, but I think you're right, Nate. I actually think this is unnecessary. I think Mana should just get his Stalker out, try to get as many shots off on these Marines, and get batteries up into the main, because MarineLord is incredibly all in here. So you don't need to defend on 1 base or on 2 bases. You can defend on 1 base, but here we go. This is a big moment. Shield batteries are pretty damn amazing, though.
Yeah, first battery is ready. The second and third are going to follow that shortly after. He's looking to target the pylon, powering those shield batteries. I think that's the best choice. There's the overcharge, and you ain't killing nothing now. So he has to sit back, wait for the overcharge to run out. But now, Kevin, the other batteries did finish too. So it's not like it's only 1 shield battery's worth of energy to keep the pylon alive. So either he's going to, bleed out trying to kill the units, or he's going to bleed out trying to kill the pylon here. But I do feel 2 shield batteries with 2 Stalkers in the depth is plenty for a defense. He doesn't even have the probes. Yeah, GG. And Mana goes up 2-1 in this best of 5.
Oh, that probe being so important there. Just getting the heads up, like 7-8 seconds before it actually shows up and before you would normally put 2 and 2 together. It makes all the difference in the world. Did Mana have to defend low ground? Probably not, because this is a very committed build by MarineLord. But there is an argument to be made that, let's say he doesn't defend low ground. What if MarineLord then starts building bunkers at the bottom of that ramp, and then you're a 1-base Protoss, and you're stuck being a 1-base Protoss? So I understand that that's a bit awkward. But yeah, just a great scout and getting the batteries up. MarineLord thought, is like, all right, what do I go for? The units? Nah, too many batteries. Do I go for the other battery? No, they heal each other. Let's get the pylon. He almost got the pylon, Nate, but battery overcharge is pretty good.
Do you feel that was where he needed to place the barracks too, though? Like that close to where the watchtower was? I wonder if there was somewhere I don't know. I get that you want to go for somewhere not obvious because the Protoss would probably check around their own base, right? And they'll check like your natural once he sees that, you know, he can't get into the main. But yeah, the Watchtower ended up making it like it's kind of hard, right? Mana just did a really good job of being on top of scouting, I guess, is probably the more appropriate way to say it.
I mean, hindsight is 2020, right? It's just a lot easier there to figure out, well, looking back at that game, it's like, sure, let's say he puts them near that center base on Ice and Chrome. That probably doesn't get scouted. And then maybe Mana has one battery, but I think one battery is probably not going to be enough because the marine count does get very high with these kinds of builds. But yeah, obviously. I mean, MarineLord probably
there's an endless amount of theory crafting we could do.
Yeah. It all depends on where the probe goes, right? Like, otherwise, maybe the Adept finds it immediately or a Stalker finds it. Who knows? What we do know is that this man is now taking the 2-1 lead at the top 6 finish at the DreamHack SC2 Masters Summer, and he wants to equal that result. Representing Team Liquid, it is Mana.
And he faces off against the Red Terran player in the Northeast, the man who can't build his barracks anywhere inside his own base. He is MarineLord. He'll probably get a barracks in his own base this game. I expect that. Okay, there we go. Snap back to reality.
Kind of funny how MarineLord has done 2 cheesy builds, and they both didn't work, and the one game where he played normal, he won.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, huh? I guess you can try cheesing if this goes to game 5, huh?
Probably
Might as
not.
well.
Oh. I mean, I wonder how that would have played out if, let's say, Mana has a slightly different response. Mana only gets a single battery, doesn't find the barracks. Do you think it works?
I think it can, yeah. I think the problem is when you have that many shield batteries, like when he's able to get those out because he makes the scouts so far in advance, just the way they're able to heal each other too, right? There is no easy choice for what to target down. Like a single pylon, yes, that does make sense. Like, okay, if I kill the pylon, all the batteries are useless, but Mana immediately started another pylon. So how much time are you really gonna have where there's no active batteries at all? Is that enough time to kill the stalkers? I don't know. If there's only one single battery, then you just kill the battery itself, and batteries take a lot longer to build than pylons, right? So it's something where if you I guess it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, right? 100 minerals, you know, here or there is not going to kill you as much as not having any defense when, you know, the boys show up.
It's funny as well how, like, I definitely prefer Stalkers over Adepts there, and Mana did build a Stalker after his initial Adept, but the Adept is actually very nice when it stands near batteries, right? Like, the Adepts may not have the same micro potential as the Stalkers, but they do deal a lot of damage against both SCVs and Marines, and if the Adept can just stand there and get healed up forever, and then all of a sudden, even the Adept is going to be a very useful unit.
Yeah, no, I really liked it a lot, just having a little bit of that mix too. Kind of added to that confusion, I think, if it's like, what do I target fire? What am I trying to go after? And the Adept, even though it does have less range, so it has to kind of expose itself more, it's actually not as much of a problem when your opponent pulls SCVs, because the SCVs are going to be in front of the Marines. So it's not like the Marines can always shoot at the Adept that's shooting at the SCVs unless they all come forward. And well, that's always going to be more risky to do. But he's got the natural expansion finishing soon. It's a Stargate build again for Mana, which that is what he decided to start the series with, and was able to get quite a bit of damage done after being hurt. Was it 7 probes by the Ghost Rush? And the Reaper is going to be able to get a pretty good scout, though. Sees that it's an Oracle starting as well.
Can it get out? It shouldn't be able to get out. Can it get one more probe? It seems like the answer is no. But yeah, good scout. I think that's the most important thing, getting one probe kill. I guess MarineLord is quite okay with this start. Mana's gonna try to get a proper scout himself as well, and we'll at least see a Widowmine walk down at Rampy. That actually gets into the main base, and he lets the stage finish up. He's like, oh, all right. I guess this is my new home now.
The only unfortunate thing, the first Adept shot, despite getting in scot-free, he wasn't quite able to actually hit the SCV as it was going into the geyser, so not able to get anything from it thus far. I think the Adept, did he close the ramp? He killed it, right? He wasn't able to get out.
Yeah, no, the Adept went down.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. But I guess at the same time, he also did get to see everything that MarineLord was doing. So it's kind of a bit of a trade there, right, between the Reaper and the Adept in that way.
On the other hand, I think if I am Mana here, yeah, Mana is, I think, kind of looking for a proxy starport because he's like, I got in, I see Marines, I saw a Widow Mine as well, but why did I not see a starport? Like, what are you doing? So you take a look at the Oracle, you take a look at the Phoenix. Mana is definitely expecting there to be a proxy starport and then maybe still a Hellion drop, even if there was no reactor on that factory. Or maybe just a couple of Widow Mines, even from an armory, so they could be cloaked. You can really see he's looking for something that isn't actually there.
Yeah, and that's a bit of the, I guess, the trickery aspect of playing against MarineLord is he kind of puts a bit of that fear into you. You can't just assume that he's going to do the most straightforward thing. We had 2 proxies in this series, and one was Marines, one was Ghosts. So it's not like there isn't a chance that he could have something out there, but Oracle's going to come in towards the natural, get itself an SCV, kind of pull back, sees the engineering base in the back of the natural too. And with that really fast third command center, I wonder how Mana is going to react, because usually Protoss gets a little bit ahead on that base count early. If MarineLord's able to get a fast third, that would be, I think, very, very, very good for him. But going for that 1-1 at the same time as Stim doesn't have the starport started yet to go into Medivacs. It's a very greedy build out of MarineLord is what it looks like to me.
Now he's going to have a proper economy a minute or so from here on out. And the same can be said for Mana, of course, who has been chrono boosting quite a few probes. He has that 5 worker advantage. Do we have a Robo Bay? Yes, the Robo Bay has finished up as well. So the first Colossus is on the way. I feel like this is pretty similar to what we saw before. The Oracle was getting close towards that natural again, and MarineLord did move his mines around, so Mana has to be very careful. All right. Right when I thought that it could fly in, I was like, I'm gonna move it again.
Yeah, cheeky mine right there. Well, as soon as you say it, our observer's like, there it is. And now Mana's observer comes over and he says, there it is. The third base is going down. And because both players are powering up, and I guess because Mana has focused so much on tech in this series, right? We didn't really see the last time when he went Stargate into Robo, we didn't see a crazy fast blink or charge. So the ability to attack is a bit more limited, which I actually guess works well in MarineLord's favor. That's probably why he started that third command center so fast, is he's like, well, if he goes into Colossi again, his ability, he's not very likely to try to all in me off of 3 bases. He's going to probably have to wait a bit longer to get blink or charge before he attacks with just Colossi.
I'm getting a bit triggered by the fact that Mana keeps putting his observer in surveillance mode for like 0.1 second in the main base of MarineLord, and then he moves it again. Like, he did it on Pillars of Gold, and we thought it was kind of funny, right? It's like, oh, it's like a dog who doesn't know where he wants to sit. But he just did it 3 times in a row. And obviously you see a little more in surveillance mode, but you're giving off a sound signal, so why would you do that? I'm so confused.
Yeah, it's a bit of a what is it? He's kind of like, he's like fidgeting with it like a pen, Yeah. And it's just like you just hear this click sound, you're like, just like what is that? Can you please stop? Put it down, or at least spin it in your hand like Sue or something fun. But no, the observer is just, I kind of agree with you. It's a bit weird, right? If you want the extra vision, get the extra vision. But
yeah, but then keep
the
it
other
there.
2 times he also flew it straight into a missile turret after he did it too. Like, I think he would have been better off just hanging back, mate.
Yeah, exactly. All right, MarineLord is starting to feel his army. The 1-1 upgrades are done for the Terran player. You mentioned the vision that Mana created for himself on Death Aura, the opening map. And once again, they take a look at that mini map. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah, there are spylons everywhere. Zelnaga watchtowers under control, stasis preps. So nothing is going to sneak into those initial 3 bases without Mana being aware of it. And look at that second Stargate as well. +1 air weapons.
Ooh. So is this going to be... I'm not going to lie, Kevin. He's giving me some Protoss mech vibes over here, okay? We've got Immortals, Colossi, Phoenix, +1 extra Stargate. He's lifting, he's killing drops that are unloaded with his Phoenix out on the map. Okay, if you lift up too many...
Bronze League.
Guys, if all of your Phoenix are lifting, none of them can shoot. Okay, you do need a spotter at the gym, okay? You can't just lift everything. You need to have, there needs to be some backup over there.
Oh,
It's a bad way to throw out your bag.
Oh, I love Mana, and he's obviously a fantastic Protoss player, but that was proper Bronze League heroes right there. Like, it would have been so easy to clean that up. You fly the Phoenixes in, you can lift Marines 1 at a time, you can lift them 2 at a time. That was the absolute...
I'm going to lift all 8 Marines at once.
And then he's like, you know what? Damn it, I've got no DPS right now, so I'll drop 1. Then he drops the 1, that is like the other Phoenix that's moving around has like 7 HP, and it's like, well, now this guy has to fly away. It still dies, and now he has again 0 DPS. Oh, and that was very, very clumsy by man.
We have the Fleet Bacon finishing up, Kevin, as +1 is done. So I'm very interested to see what is going to come out of those Stargates next. Is he just going to get +2 and Anion Pulse Crystals? Is he going to... I mean, now we see a big push coming here from MarineLord, so I'm not sure that he has time to go into carriers just yet.
I mean, normally I would say, like, yeah, I love any impulse crystals, and I think if he keeps building Phoenix, it makes sense. Yeah, he's gonna do it both. I am very sad though that he just lost like 2 Phoenixes for almost no reason. He does have Disrupt his MarineLord scans. Thought about it with a couple of Marauders. I mean, Carrier Disrupt and Nade is one hell of a combo. You know, I've been a fan of it for a long time.
Oh, it's terrifying. Carrier Disruptor, I mean, just 2 units that synergize very well. But now the Disruptors did use their Purification Novas. Another one did finish, immediately gets killed as it comes out. Good EMPs to kind of prevent this army from being able to charge into the bio, though. And this was a little bit of the risk I was worried about. As the Marauders, there's really nothing left under the Colossi to keep them alive. 2 of them get picked off. Wow. Phoenix got the tanks out from the back, but all of the Disruptors have been killed, and MarineLord in a dominating position. And this is what scares me, though, because even if he does barely eat those 2 carriers out, I think with the Medivacs, there's plenty of Marines here to just gun those down.
Absolutely, especially because these are 2/2 Marines as well. I mean, this was a picture-perfect timing for MarineLord. If he attacks like a minute later, the disruptor count goes up, Mana is more prepared, maybe a carrier is out as well, but yeah, Mana's army just kind of sucked there because he was truly relying on at least 1 or 2 big Novas. The tank positioning was way too difficult to deal with, and all of a sudden it feels like this entire game has slipped away from Mana.
Yeah, well, the Terran is on 4 bases, has extra command centers going up and sensor towers, and the Protoss is stuck on 2, just the 3 bases with really 2 mining, and that's, yeah, there's just not really a whole lot I think you could do at this point. Just, you said it perfectly, MarineLord hits a razor-sharp timing right before this army becomes impossible to attack into, and is able to tie the series up. We are getting that close match that we were kind of predicting Rotterdam. Pretty good stuff so far.
Indeed, that does mean that we're going to head to one more quick commercial break, and after that we'll figure out who moves on to the round of 8. Is it going to be Mana or will it be MarineLord?
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This match is still going on. We did somehow manage to make it longer than the first match of the day yesterday. We're still playing StarCraft. We're still watching Terran versus Protoss. It's still possible for MarineLord to be up 2-1 in this series. So without further ado, I'm very excited to get into the final game of this first match, Kev.
Everything you said was correct, other than the part that he could still be up to 1. I mean, I'm pretty sure we're all tied up, Nate. This is the rubber match. Obviously, for us, being a kind of a fun, wonky series so far, it feels like it hasn't really started going yet. I don't know how you feel about it, but it's like every single time it's shaping up to be a pretty awesome game, the game just kind of ends because somebody gets in a great position or one guy isn't totally ready. But it's a big moment for these guys. Game 5, winner moves on, loser is eliminated from the tournament. After all that group stage play, a very big best of 1 right now on Evergreen.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's been a good series. I think the only thing that I don't want to see out of the final map is another proxy by MarineLord. I think you pointed out a very good trend in the games where MarineLord has gone for the proxies. He has gotten the volleyball spiked in his face, and on the games where he hasn't gone for the proxies, he's been relying very heavily on siege tanks. Been using a lot of tanks, been getting attack upgrades for his tanks, which I only draw attention to because it is an interesting thing that there's not a big focus on that late game Liberator transition or really Liberators at all. Which, I mean, Liberators are pretty good units. I don't know how you feel about them. I think Liberators are pretty good, especially versus Protoss. So I'm kind of surprised that we're not really seeing any of them at all. Not even in Harass in like earlier mid game.
Yep. Especially because a lot of these games open up with the Twilight these days and they don't open up Stargate. And I honestly feel just having the option to get Liberators out against double Robo Gateway. I love Liberators with advanced ballistics. And as a Protoss player, I truly find it the most terrifying thing to deal with. Siege tanks are annoying as well. And to be fair, MarineLord, as we're having a very long loading screen here, by the way, guys. We're not hyping you guys up for game 5.
I'm not in the loading screen, to be clear. I'm not in the loading screen for this one. It's not me.
Someone is causing issues. I like to think it's not me either, because my PC runs pretty smooth, but we're about to find out. There we go. It was Raga Kabi Rage. Now, I don't know who Kabi Rage is, Nate, but we don't really need to get into that. And now there was no countdown.
There's no countdown?
Yeah, that's actually because we had such a long loading screen. The countdown
like, you guys don't need it. You're good. You're good. The countdown happened inside the loading screen. There you go. That's how long it took.
Okay. Oh my god, we're actually going to rehost. I was surprised.
All good.
Marina is like, my first SCV did not start yet. 2 seconds into the game. Like, this game was going on for 2 seconds.
Wait, so this is like that bug where they added the countdown because sometimes the game lags at the start, but it lagged longer than the duration of the countdown.
Yep.
That's impressive. I didn't even know that was possible.
Oh, apparently it is possible. So we're just going to restart that. I was going somewhere, and that was the tank play that you were talking about, Nate. To be fair, Pillars of Gold won by tanks, right? That push on the right side where the 5 tanks were in such a good position.
Oh, yeah.
That pretty much sealed the deal. Eternal Empire, obviously the push was amazing by MarineLord, but it's once again the tanks that are mostly complicated there for Mana. Otherwise, Mana can just run back to static defenses, fire a couple of Novas, who cares? Now he's like, uh-oh, my army is kind of zoned towards the right side. I'm gonna run towards the left. Tanks start wailing away already, and it's Colossi, and it just feels that once again the tanks were the biggest issue that he couldn't deal with.
Yeah, he's done a really good job of using the tanks. Yeah, I've got nothing bad to say about it. It's a pleasant surprise to see somebody use them as well in that way. And I think MarineLord has done a really good job. He's tried to be greedy in a lot of the games, like that Eternal Empire game, just mega greedy. Big delay on the starport, crazy fast third command center. Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, Mana's build was also pretty adventurous, right? Like he was basically saying, I'm going to open Stargate, I'm going to go Phoenix, into Colossi, into Carrier Disruptor. Like as I go into the 4th base, and it's like, well, if the Terran attacks you, you're asking for trouble, and that's trouble came a knocking.
I feel almost if you want to do that, then properly do it and don't build gateways, because he had 4 gateways. But what are you going to do? Warp in slow zealots or slow stalkers? I mean, that's just a sorry excuse for an army 12 minutes into a game, right? Then you may as well not even build the gates. Anyway, here we go. A very important game 5 for these 2 guys in the bottom left side. The Frenchman representing Koka's little team. It is MarineLord.
And his opponent in the Northeast, the blue Protoss player representing Team Liquid, he is Mana. Intense games between Mana and MarineLord. Are we back in 2015, Kevin? Is that what happened? Did we get into a time machine?
Could very well be. Never know with these two. I mean, Mana definitely had his ups and downs over the years, but I feel like he's been on a pretty steady up for quite some time right now. And MarineLord, I think everybody's in agreement that MarineLord is a very talented video gamer, and he can be good at not just StarCraft. I truly believe that this kid can be good at a lot of different games as well. The issue sometimes is the motivation that has been kind of holding him back for the last 2.5, 3 years. I feel like if he would have never stopped playing, he'd be without a shadow of a doubt right now, I think top 5 Europe. Like I'd put money on that. And I mean, he's already close to it, right? Like we're in the playoffs right now. And this is after all the breaks he took.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see that. And there was kind of an interesting conversation about some of the European players that we've getting to see even come in and take maps off big players. I even think back to like Koss, who has been around forever, right? Not someone we consider to be the biggest contender, but these guys still come in, they show up. I think obviously Mana and MarineLord are on a little bit of a different level, but still impressive because, you know, the conversation always goes around these young guys that are coming in and really good, and we talk about them having a lot of momentum and a big upward trajectory. But you got to keep in mind, you know, the veterans are still there to play spoiler for a lot of these kids.
Nathanias, we're getting another feisty build coming out of MarineLord here. He's definitely showing us a lot of variety when it comes to his build orders, and I'm expecting this to be Hellion Marauder with a medevac, right? Hellions just drive to the other side of the map. You make one medevac, put a couple of Marauders inside of it. They have concussive shells as well, and I hope for Mana that he figures this one out, because I don't think I ever beat this build without having at least one shield battery, preferably 2 shield batteries.
Yeah, and you know, it's also going to be a lot more difficult to protect those shield batteries if he gets Marauders up on them, right? That's a lot of damage versus buildings that he's going to have available to him. And even if he does have some level of defense, you still need to be careful, because if you can't step outside your base against this, which is, you know, it's very hard. Even something like that Cybernetics core that's exposed, if MarineLord can't actually get inside the base, there's still some outside harass damage that he can really put a lot of pressure on. Or even just drop the Hellions in.
Okay, what the hell? Sorry, Nate. What the hell just happened there? He shaded the Adept on top of the ramp, but turned it around and somehow did not confirm the tech lab? How the hell did this Adept not see that tech lab?
How was that possible?
Yeah. I thought that...
how is that possible?
Now he sees it.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, this is a big scout at least, because I believe now he knows exactly. Get a shield battery, Mana. I mean, unless he just wants to defend with like 3 more Stalkers. I don't know what Mana is thinking here, but I would always get a battery ASAP. Why is he running to the other side of the map? Why are you... No!
What is he doing?
Oh my goodness, Mana, what is this?
He warps in slow Stalkers directly in the path of the Marauders. Well, I think that literally could not have gone worse.
No.
What is... Now he has hardly anything to defend. The Robo is done, but... he's going to take a while to get anything like an Immortal out, and there's actually a single pylon powering all of it. So if he does not kill the army right here, he's going to depower that gateway, and that's all of his production.
At least his Zealot is somehow buying quite some time, but here come the Hellions. Okay, good force field. The problem is there's still 3 Marauders in the Marine. That pylon isn't our closest pylon. Indeed, Nathanias. Oh my goodness, what a train wreck of a game.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's it. 3 gateways, unpowered. Robotics facility, unpowered. Probe status equals pulled. Hellions are killing them, grilling them. And the Marauders, well, they've got grenade launchers for arms. So these Stalkers are super dead. And I do not know how you recover from this, because MarineLord did expand behind this. He's got the natural done, finishing up. Rather, the Raven is out. I think he's getting a second one based on what I was seeing. And he's moving into tanks. So maybe there's a hold here. He does end up killing it, but 12 probes. He set him back to the start of the game economically.
Yeah, this is not much of a hold, man. This is like when you're trying to complete your bench press, but it's laying on your neck, and you're like, I can't breathe.
Like, well, I stopped it from killing me, so I guess I'm okay. I can't really get up, but I'm just gonna lay here for a while.
Oh my goodness.
Brutal.
Okay, I'm trying to understand why Mana felt that he needed to be aggressive and that he needed to warp in units on the other side of the map. What did he scout that gave him the feeling the best thing he could do is attack MarineLord? I'm so confused.
Yeah, I don't know. Attacking a one-base Terran is actually a pretty famous way for many StarCraft players to die. So I don't really have any analysis there. If the Terran player's on one base, they've probably got some pretty powerful units that you need to be scared of. And now these auto turrets, he's going for the, I'm not going to have to spend any more money past these 2 Ravens to just harass you forever. And imagine being this broken. You're like, well, how do I actually get rid of these? Well, you're not going to be squeezing out a Stargate now. And guess what? Your probes are going to keep dying. In fact, MarineLord might even at some point just go kill that pylon that he knows is out on the map too, because he's so broke. Well, actually, I guess he lost so much supply, he's not going to get blocked by it, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think Mana knows that